Alert! You have clicked on this video. Analysis. This video contains spoilers for NieR Replicant and NieR Automata. Proposal. Watch this video after playing both of these games if you do not wish to be spoiled. End communication. For those of you who have played these games, or at least Automata, I hope you enjoyed that reference. I think that it made a good beginning to this video. But we're not here to talk about beginnings. We're here to talk about endings, or at least false endings. A false ending is when a story appears to wrap up only for it to unexpectedly continue, surprising the audience. This plot device is often used in films, whether it be something short and simple, or something so big that it sets up a final act in the story. In a horror movie, for example, it may seem that the survivors are finally safe, just for one final jump scare to make them, along with the audience, scared again. In an action movie, it may seem that the hero defeated the villain, just for them to come back, giving fans another battle to watch. Either way, a false ending makes it seem like the movie is over, despite there being more to enjoy. Though false endings are most common in films, they can be found in other media as well, and when it comes to games, I don't think any series does it better than NieR. NieR is a hack-and-slash series that tells one of my favorite science fantasy stories ever written. While there are 3 main games in the series, which is a spin-off of Drakengard, I will only be discussing NieR Replicant and NieR Automata in this video, as those are, unfortunately, the only games I have had access to. NieR Replicant is the first game in the spin-off series. It tells the story of a boy who goes on a journey to save his sister from a disease. You can name this boy, who is the main character, anything you want, but I'll be calling him NieR for the rest of this video, as that is what people call him outside of the game. Anyways, after telling Yona, the sister, about a lunar tear, a flower that could make them enough money to cure her, NieR finds out that she has gone to search for it at the Lost Shrine. He follows her and has to battle shades, dangerous creatures that seem to be purely evil, along the way. He also joins forces with the living magical book, Grimoire Weiss. The two of them manage to rescue Yona, and, after hearing a prophecy that Weiss plays a part in, search for the sealed verses that could cure her from the Black Scroll. Along their journey, they fight many shades and meet Kaine and Emil, who join the boy in the book in their adventure. Unfortunately, before NieR can cure Yona, the Shadow Lord, ruler of the Shades, kidnaps her, and it takes NieR and his comrades 5 years to find her. Along the way, NieR comes across some shocking discoveries. Devila and Popola, twins in his village that he cared deeply for, were androids who served the Shadow Lord, who was actually a human all along. In fact, the Shadow Lord is NieR. You see, there is a prologue in this game that takes place hundreds of years prior, during a time in which people had gotten sick with another disease, one that was much worse than the Black Scroll. In this section of the game, players control NieR before his soul and body split apart. In order for humans to survive, they removed their souls from their bodies, making it so they couldn't get sick. This process was called Project Gestalt. However, over time, the bodies, known as replicants, grew feelings of their own. This caused their original souls, known as Gestalts, to lose their sentience and become shades. All along, NieR and his comrades had been killing people. However, even with this realization, he would not back down. He murders Devila, and Emil sacrifices himself to kill Popola, allowing NieR, Weiss, and Kaine to reach the Shadow Lord. This whole time, his big bad mastermind plan was to put Yona's Gestalt into her replicant so he could be with her again. Knowing that his replicant is searching for him, the Shadow Lord also plans to take his body back from him. However, the Gestalt Yona decides to sacrifice herself so her replicant can wake up, and the replicant NieR kills his own Gestalt to reunite with her. Weiss also sacrifices himself to help his replicant comrades. Finally together again, NieR and Yona seem to have a happy ending. NieR offers to let Kaine stay with them, but she refuses, walking away from them instead. He tries to stop her, but Yona distracts him, staring up at the beautiful sky, which she had not seen for 5 years. After that, another cutscene of a younger replicant NieR and Yona plays, in which he gives her a lunar tear. Their Gestalt selves are also seen together one last time, holding each other, giving NieR Replicant a beautiful and bittersweet ending. Or so it would seem. After the credits roll, Players learn that this was only ending A, and now have the opportunity to start the game again from the 5-year time skip. This time around, other perspectives are shown, including all of the main shades that players killed from this point of the game to the credits. While players may have been excited to defeat bosses in their first playthrough, knowing that they were crying for mercy the whole time makes the second playthrough incredibly sad and harder to get through. It even feels at times that Replicant NieR is the villain of the story. In the final battle, when he states that he has reason to live, his Gestalt thinks of how he doesn't want to live without Yona, and how he will join her in death. Following the Shadow Lord's defeat, different cutscenes are shown in Ending B. The Shadow Lord, all alone, thinks of how he failed to save his Yona. Players then take control of him, replaying the ending of the prologue. Yona gives him a cookie when he returns from a battle, and the two agree to split it. In the prologue, they were unable to eat the cookie as Yona's cough got worse, but in this scene, they were able to enjoy it together. Going back to the scene prior, Gestalt NieR thinks of the bosses that players mercilessly killed and hears a voice. He looks up to see his sister in the same clothes she wore when they ate the cookie, and she brings him another half, thanking him for always being there for her. This ending gives our antagonist a phenomenal ending. It is also revealed in a hilarious scene that Emil had somehow survived but is now just ahead. This may seem unimportant to Ending B, but it becomes relevant later. Anyways, after completing Ending B, the game challenges players to collect all 33 weapons Replicant NieR can equip and to defeat the Shadow Lord once more. After doing so, players can see an additional cutscene in which Kaine and Tyrion, a shade who lives inside of her, talk about how they are about to part ways. As it turned out, the reason why Kaine left NieR was that she was about to become a shade. She had prevented becoming one for so long by only feeling negative emotions. However, as she learned to love thanks to NieR and their friends, Tyrion and the Black Scroll took over. NieR notices that something is wrong with her and tries to help. She tells him to kill her as she turns, becoming a surprising boss for players to fight against. After winning the battle, players are presented with a choice. They can either respect Kaine's wishes and kill her, or sacrifice NieR, which somehow makes Kaine completely human again. Depending on their decision, they will either earn Ending C or Ending D. Ending C is the one I recommend choosing first, as they can easily return to their last save point and get Ending D afterwards. Going with Ending D, on the other hand, will erase players' save data as NieR will no longer exist. In Ending C, Kaine fades away after NieR kills her. He picks up her lunar tear and thinks of her as he says that they will always be together. Ending D, on the other hand, results in Kaine waking up with NieR being nowhere in sight. Yona asks her if she was the one who came to her rescue, not remembering that her brother ever existed. Despite Kaine not saying anything, Yona knows that she is her hero and thanks her. As Kaine looks at the young girl, she gets a vision of NieR despite all of her memories of him being gone. This sets up the stage for Ending E. But how can players gain access to it when they have already deleted their save data? Well, remember earlier in the video when I mentioned that players can name NieR anything they want? That was actually the key to getting Ending E, which is where things start getting weird. They have to start a new game with a new name and play the beginning all over again, until they reach a cutscene that goes in a different direction than it initially had on their first playthrough. This time around, the beginning of the game is supposed to be a dream that Kaine had. After waking up, she goes to the Forest of Myth and finds that she can enter the giant tree in it. Inside, she discovers that it is made of metal and hears the voices of the administrators, who know of everything Kaine had done. They soon cross paths and she attacks them. They counterattack by sending copies of her to fight her. As the replicant Kaine is overwhelmed, Emil comes to her rescue. The two travel deeper into the tree, and Kaine also reunites with Grimoire Weiss. As they fight Shades again, Kaine gains both her memories of NieR and the ability to bring him back into existence. In the final cutscene of not only Ending E, but NieR Replicant as a whole, a giant flower blooms, which Kaine and NieR are inside of. Emil flies over to them and they share a beautiful quote.
Our journey may have been meaningless.
Our past may have been a mistake.
But we're not going back.
Even if this world comes to an end.
Because this is the world with the people we cherish.
NieR Automata takes place thousands of years later. At this point, Earth has changed a lot. As a result of the Shadow Lord's defeat, none of the Gestalts reunited with their replicants and eventually became extinct, leaving the androids all alone. Aliens would arrive on the planet with an army of machines they had made, which fought against the androids. Side note, due to his magical abilities, Emil survived long enough to live in this time period. He created a bunch of clones of himself, and they all fought against the aliens together. One of these Emils is a side character that players can interact with, buying items from him and going on a couple side quests that he has a role in, which I'll get to later on. Anyways, the aliens were defeated when the machines turned on them, leaving both kinds of robotic life forms to fight against one another for centuries to come. The androids were led to believe that humans continued to live on the moon and fought to make Earth a place they could return to. In the beginning of NieR Automata, players follow a HoW android called 2B, who specializes in fighting. She is sent to Earth from the bunker, a space station where the androids live. Joining her is another android, 9S, who is a scanner with a talent for hacking into machines, as well as their two pods who assist them by suggesting things to do and providing information. During the mission, the two come across a group of machines who seem to be acting as humans. The androids mercilessly attack them, and the machines group up together, creating a new life form known as Adam. 2B and 9S try to kill Adam, and from his wounds, another of his kind, Eve, is born. While the two of them are basically twins, they are practically polar opposites as well. Adam enjoys studying the humans, as he wants to act as they had. He is fascinated by their lifestyles and emotions, despite not relying much on his own, being much more logical. Eve, on the other hand, relies on emotion, and has no interest in Adam's research, simply wanting to play with him instead. Anyways, after 2B and 9S find themselves in an epic battle against a bunch of machines, she discovers that her comrade has been captured by Adam. She finds and kills him, rescuing 9S, who she brings back to the bunker so he can be repaired. In the meantime, she continues to fight machines. When Eve learns about his brother's death, he vows to kill everything and everyone. He finds 2B as 9S is sent back to Earth and attacks them. While he proves to be stronger than his brother, the androids still manage to defeat him, with 2B stabbing him in the head. Immediately following the battle, 9S is corrupted and asks 2B to kill him, as his backup data can be reloaded. She does as he asks, choking him, despite how sad she is to do so. However, 9S had actually placed his memory inside of a machine, allowing that version of him to immediately return, bringing an end to NieR Automata's ending A. Players are then able to control 9S and learn about everything he went through when he wasn't with 2B. There are also some cutscenes that give fans insight into the lives of some of the machines they fought throughout the game, very similar to what NieR Replicant did with the Shades. Anyways, after 2B brought 9S back to the bunker, he found records that contradicted what he and the majority of the androids were led to believe about humans. He spoke with the commander, who knew about Project Gestalt all along, and told him what had really happened to humanity. This information is why it was vital for him to place his memory in a machine in case if he was killed. Anyways, Ending B wraps up almost the same way that Ending A had. After completing those two endings, players are now able to start a second story arc in which 2B, 9S, and all the other HoW androids go to Earth to defeat the machines once and for all. This arc begins shortly after the previous one ended, as 9S had not yet been able to tell 2B the truth of humanity, and unfortunately never will. The majority of the androids get infected with a virus. 9S manages to temporarily save 2B by hacking into her, but the two are forced to fight the other androids. They return to the bunker and learn that the androids there have also been corrupted. As they flee back to Earth, the bunker is destroyed. When they arrive on the planet, they are briefly separated, and 2B runs into A2, another android who has not been infected. A2 is a character that 2B and 9S ran into earlier in the game. She had left HoW and was considered a traitor, and the two androids fought her. A2 comes to 2B's rescue, fighting the infected HoW androids. Unfortunately, 2B starts getting corrupted again, and decides to pass her memories, as well as Pod 042, onto A2. To prevent her from being taken over by the machines, A2 kills 2B. NieR witnesses this, and, not knowing the final moments 2B shared with her, blames the traitor of YoRHa for his comrade's death. If learning the truth of humanity wasn't already bad enough, this pushed him to his breaking point. While A2 continues to fight machines, NieR finds a giant structure that rose from underground called the Tower. In order to access it, he needs to get 3 keys. He goes on a quest to find them, and, upon completing it, returns to the tower, where he finds Popola and Devila. As it turns out, there were a lot of Popola and Devila androids, and as a result of what happened in NieR Replicant, they were all either shut down or were reprogrammed to believe they deserved to be blamed for Project Gestalt's failure, despite their memories of the incident being removed. Because of this, the Devila and Popola androids in this game, which are not the ones who NieR fought, decide to help NieR. They fight off some nearby machines as NieR tries to access the tower. However, he is unable to get inside due to a barrier, so Popola holds the door open, injuring herself, as Devila drags NieR inside. There, he fights against a machine called Roshi, while A2, who followed NieR into the tower, fights a similar machine, Koshi. These two machines fuse together, and NieR is forced to work with A2 to defeat them. Upon their victory, A2 tells NieR that the tower is actually a cannon that is going to fire at the moon, which is where the androids sent the data they had on humanity long ago. A corrupted NieR doesn't care what happens to the data after all he learned, and fights A2. The players get to choose which android to control in this fight. If players pick A2, they get eNDiNGS. A2 slices NieR's arm off after the battle ends and hacks into him. She intends on deleting the virus, which Pod 042 does not think is possible. When she finds NieR's data, she touches him, and tells the pod to take his body away from the tower. After they leave, A2 touches a beam of light, causing the tower to fall down. As she gets buried underneath the debris, she thinks of how beautiful the world is, giving eNDiNGS a very sad and mysterious ending. By picking NieR, players experience eNDiNGD. In the middle of their battle, A2 hesitates, thinking of 2B's request, wanting her to take care of NieR. This gives him the opportunity to stab her, and as he runs closer to her, her sword goes through him as well. The two bleed out beside each other, and the tower, once again, breaks apart. However, in this ending, the cannon fires, but instead of a missile, it shoots out the machine's memories. Players also get to see a few characters that help the androids on their missions one last time, including Devila and Popola, who have died. With both eNDiNGS and eNDiNGD completed, the credits roll once more as the pods speak to one another. Without the androids, the pods discuss what to do with their data, with 153 planning to destroy it and 042 wanting to preserve it. If players side with Pod 042, they will see a new credit screen, unlocking eNDiNGE. In this final section of the game, players shoot the credits, as well as orange circles. Pink circles appear on the screen as well, but players must dodge them. If players get hit by a circle, they are defeated. This section of the game gets incredibly difficult and cannot be completed alone. As players die, they are asked if they want to give up and read messages encouraging them not to. These messages were written by other NieR Automata fans, and eventually, they come to the player's rescue, helping them beat this final section of the game. In my opinion, this is the best use of credits in any video game, TV show, or movie ever created, especially due to the beautiful score that plays throughout it, adding on to NieR Automata's phenomenal conclusion. Following the player's brutal but spectacular victory, a final scene plays. It begins with a quote that mirrors the first one in the beginning of the game. As the pods travel, 042 confirms that the androids can be restored as they once were. 153 wonders if that will lead them to follow the same road they walked on, and while 042 admits that it's possible, he also thinks that another outcome is just as likely. As the pods reach their destination, to 2B and NieR, he says that a future is not given to you. It is something you must take for yourself. Just like NieR Replicant, Automata ends with a beautiful quote, and the main characters are given a second chance to have a happier ending, as opposed to the tragedies that befell them and all of the false endings that led to the game's finale. But while this is the end of NieR Automata's story, the player's journey isn't over just yet. Following the final cutscene, Pod 153 asks them if they have a message they would like to give to others. Just as they had read messages during the credits, they can now write their own for other players to read. After deciding what they want to say from a series of options, Pod 042 also asks the player a question, if they would like to help someone who is having a difficult time completing the game. In order to aid this fellow gamer, however, the helpful player will lose their save data, and, unlike NieR Replicant, this decision is final. There is absolutely no turning back, and when going into the game, it will appear as if they never played it before. If players agree to do this, they will watch all of their quests, items, and other things they have found throughout the game fade away, before seeing their own save data disappear for good. In return, Pod 042 and 153 have a final message of their own.
To all of you who spent time with this game, thank you. Thank you for playing.
NieR Automata has 21 more endings, going from ending F to Z, but players will likely run into them on accident as they aren't relevant to the plot. These endings occur when players do not do what they are supposed to, such as attacking a machine that they shouldn't fight or running away from an important battle. While they are not exactly false endings in terms of the plot device, they are alternative outcomes to the story. Ending Y is the only one I care about enough to discuss, as it revolves around Emil. After helping him gain his lost memories in a side quest, players have to steal one of his masks. When he learns that 2B and 9S are responsible for the theft, he fights them. By winning the battle, players earn a new weapon, Emil's heads. After obtaining all the weapons in the game and upgrading them to level 4, players can start another side quest revolving around Emil. At the desert, 9S and 2B discover that he is injured, and some of the other Emil clones, who are devastated by all they had lost over the years, attack them. During the fight, the Emil clone we have gotten to know throughout the game confronts the others, reminding them of Kaineng. Upon doing so, they begin to self-destruct. By not doing anything, players can achieve ending Y, in which the explosion is so big that the Earth is destroyed. Seriously, can Emil just get a break already? Did you seriously think that was the end of the video? I haven't even thanked you for watching yet. Anyways, false endings are an interesting plot device that writers use to surprise the audience, and I don't think any story has implemented them better than NieR has. What do you think of these games and how they use false endings? Do you know any story that uses this plot device just as well? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week.